So I have to apologize. I was digging through my YouTube channel this morning and realized I had never posted a finale on the Romulan Warbird, albeit the 1701D kind of died a horrible death, but might be able to revisit it at some point and create a little scratch build nebula class. But here we go. Well, I'm going to color her done at the moment. There's still some rough patches that I don't like along the edges. Paint's still drying, so I can only rest it on its top. But down along the lower edge of the wing, I guess, where the two pits go together, some, yeah, there's some pretty rough patches in there. But considering how this thing survived and got cracked open a million times, and I put it back together twice, and had to reputty everything and put it back together, since the two inner wings didn't come apart, I didn't really have a chance to get in there too deep to be able to get it down. But you can't notice them too much. If you get real close with the light on them, you can see a couple spots in the putty where I messed up, but we're gonna just call it done at this point because I can't get in there any deeper to work them out. So other than that, it's looking pretty good. Everything's going nicely. I didn't run into any more of my color I used for the feathering, so I ended up having to go over some of it a little bit darker than I would have liked, but the top and the bottom stayed good, so that'll work. And now I'm going to go in. There's a couple little spots I touch up paint, like the silver on the inside, right in there. I need to clear some of that up. You can see the gap, the spot on the inside little rail there that I need to cover up. And see, there might be a couple little spots of green on the silver. I'll take care of that. Now, there's still some paint drying on there. And then on to filling the windows. That ought to be fun. And once I get the windows in and dried up, I got to put the two little end caps for the nacelles on. I'll use canopy glue for that as well as the windows. And when that's all said and done, I'll hit it with a couple coats of dull coat, and it'll get rid of this shine that you see from either wet paint at this point or it's a gloss, unfortunately, but whatever. And we'll take care of that. And then I'm going to have to come in and get the post here in black, and then we'll start finishing up the base. But she's looking pretty close to done at this point. Well, today I'm going to go over how I'm building the base for this Romulan Warbird, because I think I've mentioned before what I've used, but I'd like to show everybody. So this guy is just a regular old picture frame. They're actually $4.99 at Hobby Lobby. They're really cheap, but the reason I get them is for the box, because it's perfect for making little bases. Now you get the little frame on top of it. Remove this guy here. Don't need that part. You can use this for other projects elsewhere, but throw this guy to the side. Don't need him. But what you're left with is this awesome little box. And then if you come in and you sand the edges down, remove this little guy, sand the edges down, get them rough. They have the little slots for the pegs to hold the front of the frame on. Just fill those in. It's really easy wood to work with. It's pine, so it cuts easy. Can dig through it. It's pretty sturdy, especially if you put a little brace in it here and there. So I wanted to show you where I'm at with this guy. So haven't finished filling in the little size. My switch goes here. I've already cut that out. I haven't filled in that one either. And that's where my power jack will go. And that's for the base of the bird. But I took these Kelly Moore paint sticks and double those up. So the way this is going to work is I will drill a hole through the top piece, because I have these doubled up. Like two of them, they're taped together so I could get them cut at the right angle. I will drill a hole in the top one that's the same diameter as the rod I'm using for the base, and that'll give it something good to sit on. And from there, I'll drill a smaller hole to run the wiring through, and let me get this in here right. So I'll drill a smaller hole in there to run the wiring through it, so that'll go to my switch and whatever I decide to do graphics-wise on the base if I want to light anything up on that side. And then I'll add a notch into the rod here. Probably wherever it sits, I'll put it right here underneath. I'll put it right here so it sits just underneath the wood covering the top. And then I'll use, sometimes I use something as simple as a bobby pin, and that keeps it in place, kind of like a cotter pin almost, so that it can't move past that point. And then with it braced against this, you have a nice little spot, and it also allows you to rotate the model back and forth, which is interesting, especially if people want to like move it around and see different angles from it. But so these guys here, we'll put those in, and I'll make, it's gonna have a little bit more. I probably have to cut a couple more pieces, but eventually I'll make this so it sits flush with the outside where it sits inside, and that will give me quite a bit of stability when it's sitting. It's not too bad like an Enterprise per se, where it's saucer heavy, but this will allow it to be flat on all sides and be covered so that it can move around and be a little overbalanced if it needs to be. Like you could flip the thing backwards and it'll have more weight on the back, but it won't go anywhere because it's all set up through here. So that's where I'm at right now with this guy, putting it all together, getting it there. I picked up these little switches from, I think this was Fry's Electronics, actually, and they don't have these in Colorado, so I'm going to have to find a new vendor to pick these little guys up. They're tiny, they're awesome, they work great. And then your standard plug, it's the female jack for the AC adapter I'll be putting in there, which is a 9 volts at, I think 1 amp. I'm not entirely sure. It's probably a little more power than this thing needs, but it does great. So I'll get back to this as I start working on this a little bit more. And yeah, okay. So now that I have my hole drilled and it fits the brass tube for the base perfectly, I got my little hole for the wires to come out through the bottom. I took the two pieces here and I used canopy glue on the inside, right? And that'll dry later. But to seal it and lock it down, I used some regular old CA glue I picked up from the store around the edges to hold it together. Then taped it all up, make sure it fits, and it does. And then I have my measured bits. These will go on the side, here and here. And these will go underneath to make the rest of it. So I'll put this here, and that'll give me enough room for cutting my cotter pin, if you will, to put that in there. So once this dries up for a couple hours, I'll glue those on there and put those together, and then I'll continue on where I was at. And I think for this one, I'm going to do similar to what I did for these little bits. I'm going to do similar to what I did for the Enterprise for the original series, and paint this a straight, well, I'll prime it first with gray, and then I'll hit it with a semi-gloss black, and then I'll sprinkle white to simulate stars, but only on the top, not on the edges. The edges will be straight black. And I have my template here that I had to fix because I broke a couple of little bits. And I'll get this with silver and probably highlight it with green. Now, I haven't quite decided yet whether I'm going to go in and attempt to make a template out of balsa wood, because I would like something that's pops out a little bit more instead of being just flat on there. We'll see what happens with it, but I would love to get a backlight. Say if I could get this at an angle of some sort or have some sort of definition to it. If I put a green LED facing back to spread out underneath it, I think that might look pretty cool if I could get that to work right. I'm not sure if I can or not. We'll see. I'll play around with it. I may scrap it, I may not. But as far as this guy's concerned, um, I was considering doing, like I said, taking like some balsa wood and cutting out the template and laying that down on there, painting that probably either a metallic gray or silver, probably silver, with some clear green highlights on it. And this is where the two falcon's claws are, and each one of these is holding a globe. Like one's green, one's blue. I'm thinking about two 10mm LEDs with really high resistance on them, so they have a really dull light glow instead of something that's like bright and overpowering. So that's not what I'm looking for. But um, having those in there, so when you light it all up, it's got the Romulan falcon grabbing a hold of them. But I'd have to build some little claws and stuff, which shouldn't be too difficult. But we'll see what happens. I might be getting a little in over my head where that's concerned, but we'll check it out and see where I get in the next couple days as I work through this. Yeah, got the stand together. Got the first bit of canopy glue in on the windows. I'm using what is this here? The Formula 560. Probably have to change that, but not not looking too shabby here. Not too shabby at all. I need to go in and do at least one more round of crystal clear on the windows. They're not quite lighting up the way I want, like in the back here. You can see them when you get closer to them. Get all right in the back, but still a little bit more needed there. Then some dull coats, but got the base going. I tested my template to make sure that it was going to work, and it does look pretty dope. So we'll see what we do with that one there. But yeah, flip the light out, see it from a distance here. Sorry, my workshop is also my kitchen at this point, which is kind of unfortunate. But all right, that's what we're looking like in full dark. Also, I wouldn't recommend making your workshop your kitchen. I don't have any furniture right now, so eventually I'll fix that. But now I had a plan here. Let me see if I can find this thing in the dark. I had here, over here. There's a 3mm LED. Missed it somewhere. I myself to cut this out of the film here. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. Light. So I had this idea to add a backlight to the emblem. And it definitely will not be this green because I don't like it. It'll be a crystal clear green, which I wasn't able to pull out of my box. But I'm going to bury this underneath the light here. See if I can find a chunk. And build out the head of the falcon So I don't know if you can see that, but I have a nice little light shining out back underneath it. But we'll see what I can do with that. Don't know yet. So I actually finished her quite a while ago, actually, about a year ago, and I think I posted in the uh, sci-fi model action forums that I had finished it. But um, I put her in a competition at the IPMS regional in Denver in 2015. She didn't place, but it was a close call. Um, my Bandai Darth Vader's TIE Fighter actually won third, which was kind of cool. But so I finished her up. Actually, she's a little bit shinier than I liked, but after a couple dull coats, I couldn't get it much better. But if you remember, I had to take her all apart and redo all the seams because it had spent some time in storage and then it moved across country and it didn't do so great. So I pretty much had to rebuild the thing from scratch. But I do have a handful of videos that we'll put together so you can see it. But she didn't turn out too badly. And I got the nice little feathering effect going. I used a handful of different colors and I frosted a bunch of the clear parts on the inside and whatnot and whipped the base up. But there she is, all lit up and ready to go. Now it does rotate on the base, although I wouldn't go a full 360 degrees because you might end up snapping some leads and that wouldn't be cool. But um, didn't turn out bad. In fact, it came out really, really well. I ended up having to put in tiny little fiber optic plugs for all of the windows so that you can see it from the side. Otherwise, it has these issues where you can only see the windows straight on. But once I put the fiber optics in there, now you can see it from pretty much every angle you look at. And yeah, didn't come out too badly at all, actually. It is a beautiful display piece, and I appreciate it greatly. Such an awesome ship. And for the base, I used the Romulan symbol. I cut the tips off of two 10 millimeter LEDs and then painted the back of them and put them on there for, I guess these are worlds? Romulus and Remus, maybe? I'm not sure. And threw in a tiny 805 green SMD so you can see it light up from behind the head of the, is it a hawk or an eagle? I'm not really sure. But anyways, there she is.
For more awesome science fiction models, make sure to stop by at sci-fi model action.com.